Hi again, Mark here from TalkingBass. So this lesson is aimed specifically at those of you out there that might now have purchased a 5-string bass after years of playing a 4. You're someone that will know the notes of the 4-string fretboard really well, but then when adding a low B string into the mix, everything gets super confusing because you don't know where you are. This is a problem for most bass players that try moving from 4 to 5 strings after developing years of skills on the 4. And because of this, loads of bass players end up anchoring the thumb on that B string and treating it as a glorified thumb rest with the occasional addition of a low D or a low C down here in the low position. So today let's take a look at a couple of simple exercises that you can use for very quickly getting to work on that B string. As always, the lesson material is all there over at the TalkingBass website. Just hit the link in the info below. Then, while you're there, check out the lesson map for over 450 free bass lessons on every topic imaginable. And also be sure to sign up for the amazing new TalkingBass network. This is a totally free membership and features a complete social network for bass players. You can meet any of over 100,000 members in the dedicated forums and groups. You can discuss anything and everything bass. You can post practice routines to your own personalized timeline, connect with others on the site, and keep up to date with all of the latest challenges and courses. Aside from the social aspects of the site, you can also make use of all the free practice resources, including the 25 bass riff challenges, all the ebook downloads, practice tracks, and much more. Like I said, it's free to join, so just follow the link in the info below to sign up. Okay, so let's take a look at this B string. Now, before I get into these exercises, I would say, separate from the topics covered here, that the best way to learn the notes on any string of the bass is by learning to read music. That is the best way. But today we'll be trying out a couple of exercises that don't require reading skills as a prerequisite. So for the first exercise, we're going to focus on the natural notes only. So no sharps or flats, just C, D, E, F, G, A, B. You should always focus on these notes first because the sharps and flats are much easier to work on when you've already got a framework of natural notes to work around. All we're going to do is read the notes that I've written out for you. Each note takes up about a 4/4, so we're going to hold the note for 4 beats and then play the next one. Bear in mind, you don't want to do this to a click or a drum machine or anything that adds pressure. We're learning the notes from scratch, so you're going to need to allow for mistakes and slowly locating each note to begin with. So for exercise 1, we're going to stick to notes within the first 5 frets. That's B, C, D, and E. So we have B is obviously the open string, and then we have C, D, and E. First fret for the C, 3rd fret for the D, and E is at the 5th fret. So that's really easy to do. You just stick to those fret markers on the D and the E there. You know, the C, D, and E there, it's just 1, 3, and 5. So very easy, even, you know, when you're looking at the fret markers there. So B, C, D, and E. And when you play the exercise, don't worry about the fingering. Don't worry about playing first finger, second finger, 5th fret, you know, anything like that. You can just use the first finger if you want. The fingering is irrelevant. We're just looking for the notes. So just spend a little while just getting used to the C, D, and E there, and then you can try the exercise. So you want to count along and tap the foot as you go. But remember, if you can't find a note, you can still just spend a second working it out and then continue. So I'll just work through the first 2 lines there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, B, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. E, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. B, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. E, 2, 3, 4. B, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. E, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. B, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3, 4. B, 2, 3, 4. So don't worry about being in time or anything like that. Don't worry about, you know, making mistakes. Just if you make a mistake, so let's say you start again, C, 2, 3, 4, and you see the D, that you don't know the D, you think, okay, C, D, okay, that one, 1, 2, 3, 4, or even count a lot slower. Just take it at your own speed. So again, like I said, there's no pressure here. You're just taking the notes that you see on the page and finding them on the fretboard. Okay, for exercise 2, we're going to look at the notes beyond the 5th fret in the next position. So here we have F, G, and A, okay? So these are at the 6th, the 8th, and the 10th frets. So we're now between the fret markers, so that's worth, that's just a little thing to take note of. And, you know, before you try the exercise, just, you know, work on those for a little while, just take a look at them, F, G, and A, you know, just play over those notes there, and then you can try the exercise. So here I'll just work through the first stave. Remember, you've got a full 4 staves to work on there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now, as you're probably aware, the 12th fret is a repeat of the open string. So once you've worked on all these notes below the 12th fret, it all just repeats. So knowing that that's a C up there, we're going to know that this is a C up here. D there at that 3rd fret, we know that this 1st fret marker here past there, that's a D as well. So we just repeat the whole thing. So you don't have to work on those separate. Once you know these, you know these. So for the next exercise, we're just going to practice all of the notes we've worked on so far. Okay, so again, don't worry about the fingering. You can use one finger for all of this. The whole point of this is to see the note and then find it on the neck. Okay, so again, I'll just try the first line there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. B, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3, 4. B, 2, 3, 4. E, 2, 3, 4. So that's the natural notes. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lesson then working through every flat and sharp. You can write out your own charts if you need to. So maybe, you know, try that first area, just try sharps, then try flats. You know, you can do all that by yourself. But instead of doing any of that, I'm going to move on to another exercise that you might have seen on this channel before. What we're going to do is play the major scale over 2 octaves, up and down, and we're going to play it through the cycle of fourths, but starting with a root note on the B string each time. So, as an example of the E major scale played from the 5th fret of the B string, we would have So I'm assuming most of you know a basic 1-octave major scale pattern. So for the 2-octave pattern that we're using here, I'm just going to come up through that basic pattern up to the 7th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to the D sharp. And then I'm going to switch from that 3rd finger there to the 2nd finger of the octave. Okay? 3rd finger for the D sharp and then 2nd finger for the E. And we're there ready just to start the pattern all over again. So that's the basic major scale pattern that you will all know. And then when you come back down, when you get down to the 7th, you can just shift down. Just shift down 2 frets, or at the 6th, and then just keep coming down, okay? And that's it, 2-octave major scale. So we're going to play this major scale through the cycle of fourths. Now if you don't know the cycle of fourths, I do have another lesson devoted to memorizing it, which I will link to below. But basically we have the notes C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C, which sounds like just this long string of completely random notes, but there is a pattern to it. So as a very quick tip, like I say, there is another lesson devoted to it, but as a very quick tip, just think of the 2 letters C and F, which you could think of as cycle of fourths, or C, F, and then you basically have the word bead, okay? B-E-A-D. Think of the word bead, like beads on a necklace, you know, bead. B-E-A-D with a G on the end. I know that sounds a bit random, but, you know, just trust me. Bead G. Bead G, okay? So we have C, F, and then we have bead G, all flats. So B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. And then we have bead G again, but no flats, all naturals. So C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, and then we're back to C. And that's your circle of fourths. So before we play the major scale through the cycle, let's just try playing that cycle of notes there on that B string. So take your own time with this. You'll probably find it quite tricky at first because, you know, we only know the natural notes so far, so you'll probably need to find a B and then drop it down, find an E, drop it down to a flat, you know, working through that way. But let's just work through that. So we begin with C, so we've got to find a C. So we've got a C here at the first fret. Then find an F, okay, so there's the F. Then we need a B flat, so we can't play a B flat down here, but the 12th fret, that's a B, so we've got the B flat there at the 11th fret. Then we need an E flat, so find an E, which was at the 5th fret, and drop down to the flat. Then the A flat, so we find the A, which was here at the 10th fret, so we're going to be playing the 9th fret, okay? So that's A flat, and then we want D flat, so find a D, there's the D at the 3rd fret, drop down to the D flat. Then find a G. Where was the G? Well, it was there at the 8th fret. So here's the G flat. Then B, so we could play the open B, E. I'll just work through them quickly now. So E, and then we want the A, and then the D, and then the G, and then we're back to C, okay? So even that, as an exercise, is really good for learning those notes because there's no real pattern to it. And try not to see patterns, you know, because some people think, okay, well, it's up that number of frets, and then when we come down, it's, you know, it's up here, and it's down there, and up here, and there. Don't look for patterns. You're just looking at isolated notes. If you start trying to find patterns with any of this stuff, the whole thing is pointless, you know, it's just a pointless exercise. So you want to see each note in isolation. So try that. First time you do it, you'll probably have to do what I did there, where you're looking for the natural note and dropping it, then try again and again and again. Just keep working through it. And bear in mind, if you don't know your notes on the other strings very well, that exercise works for each of those just as well. You know, so if you're going to work through them, you know, B, E, A, D, G, etc. So now we can add the major scale in there. So we begin on C. There's our C, and then you want to look for an F. So, where's there an F? Here's the F, major scale. Okay, and obviously I'm just playing through it quite quickly for the sake of the exercise, but you want to take it as slow as you need to, okay? B flat, where's there a B flat? Okay, it's up here. Here's that B flat. Okay? And then we just keep going. E flat, so there's the E, there's the flat. And you should get used to each of the flats kind of in their own, well, isolated. You know, you don't want to always be thinking, okay, E flat, it's that note down. You will eventually begin to see that as E flat, okay? So you'll just jump to that rather than thinking E and then down, okay? And then we have A flat, so here's the A, there's the A flat. Okay, and then we just keep working, D flat. G flat, so there's the G flat. And then we get to the B. So for the B, we could do it from the open string, or you could try it from the 12th fret up here. You'll probably find it a bit easier playing it up at the B there. And then the E. There's the E, where's the A? It's here. Then we want a D, so here's the D. Okay, there's the D. What's next? We're going to have the G, so we find the G here at the 8th fret. And we're back to C. Okay, so just work through that exercise over and over again. Try it just as the simple notes and then add the major scale in there. And before you know it, you're going to know that B string. Okay, so please like, comment and subscribe to the channel and follow the link below for the lesson material. Then sign up to the Talking Bass network and membership to gain access to a massive community of like-minded bass players and a ton of bass practice resources and downloads. Okay? I'll see you next week.